Good morning. I trust you're all doing great. I'm just having my coffee here this morning and reading my Bible and pondering some things. So I thought I'd just share some stuff that I'm processing through with the Lord right now, and some things I feel pretty excited about. Actually, the Lord's been speaking to our whole team about solutions, so that when you look at problems in life, that you not only are able to expose what it is that's causing the problem, but that you're also able to lay hold of a solution and to discover solutions. So that's what I want to share a little bit about today, because we are in an era where narcissism is rising up. And narcissism is basically absorption with self. And when a narcissist or someone that's bound by narcissism is going through life, everything will be about them. So all their motivation to do things will be for personal benefit. They will always be thinking of themselves and how it affects them. They'll be wanting to serve themselves. It's self-serving. With the attention on how am I doing, it's about me, it's about my calling. Even in ministry, it could be, it's about my calling, my ministry. You'll always get little hints of it when even preachers could be on a platform talking about my ministry, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I'm doing the other, and it's all about me, myself, and I, and projecting self and what I'm going to do and how many miracles I've had and all of that. So hi, Sonia from Sweden, and Anne McDonald. It's so good to greet you on the live chat this morning. And so we see this in ministry. We see it in life. I think a lot of it comes because of maybe not being secure in childhood with affection, with love, with the nurture that someone needs as they're growing up. It could be, there's lots of different roots to it, and I won't go into the roots right now. But what the Lord was showing me this morning was that there is an antidote for narcissism is moving in the opposite spirit. And in our ministry, we have a foundation of values that we adhere to. We have about 30 different values that we have as a foundation of the ministry that all of our staff and team go through, and we study them and we hold each other accountable to them. So there would be values like unconditional love. Love is not an option, and it's not that we love perfectly, but when we slip, we have something that we can hold people accountable to. And it's always good to have a values foundation in your life, even in your personal life. What are the values that are ones that you live for and the ones that you are developing in your life? Because like in ministry, for example, we might change our vision in ministry, and even theological interpretations can change throughout your life, but your values will never change. They're unchangeable. So we have values like unconditional love, of course, faith, righteous behaviors and that. But two of the most beautiful ones that I love and that we focus on a lot as a team are servanthood and humility. And Jesus really highlighted the whole thing of servanthood. And in Mark 9, verse 35, Jesus said, he called the 12 to himself and said, if anyone wants to be first, he shall be last of all and servant of all. And he said later, the greatest in the kingdom is the servant of all. And so when you position yourself to serve, then it's not about you anymore. You're not the celebrity. You're not the focus of attention. You've laid that down. And that's exactly what Jesus did. Jesus laid down his life to serve others. And I remember, over the years, I've had an opportunity to mentor many amazing men and women of God who are really being used of the Lord powerfully right now. But I remember one in particular, they won't mind me sharing this because they share it publicly themselves, is that when he came to connect with us on an internship, he had it in his mind, I'm being called into ministry. I'm being called into ministry, so I'm going to, go up and share my testimony or pray for people and cast out devils or whatever I'm going to do. And he would always run to the front. When we would go into a meeting, he would run to the front and want to talk to, the speakers or the head of the meeting and plunk himself in the front row and, kind of make himself the center of attention. And my husband would grab hold of him and he'd say, hey, you're not sitting up there. You're going to help me carry in books, the boxes of books from the back of the car, which my husband and I were doing. I mean, that's never beneath you. Never think that an assignment is beneath you. Well, I'll let the little minions over there do that. That's not kingdom. So my husband and I would be carrying in the boxes along with some other people, but this guy would just go up to the front and start talking to other people and talking to different speakers in the worship team and stuff like that. And so my husband made him carry the boxes. And so he would then make him stay at the back. He said, you're not sitting at the front, you're going to stay at the back. And this man, he didn't like it because he thought, but I'm a minister. I'm an intern to learn how to minister. And my husband said, well, that's exactly what you're doing right now. That's exactly. Ministry means to serve. And you're going to serve the people at the book table. And you're going to pray for them from the back of the room. And you're going to believe God to bless their lives. And you are going to serve them by getting them the resource that will help them. And so he wasn't happy about it at first, but over time and over layers and layers and layers of learning how to serve and doing even the menial tasks, he became this amazing man of God. But he had to be broken of this self-centered ambition that he had with him to be the great man of God. And I remember back to our YWAM days, is that in YWAM, servanthood is the greatest value, I think, that they have. I mean, they have many, but servanthood was the big value. And I mean, we had spent a lot of money. Our family alone spent over $20,000 in the day. That was back in 1980. So you can imagine what that would be now, maybe $100,000 now. But at $20,000 at the time, we sold everything we had practically to go and to take our family over there. And we sat through training after training after training, day after day. And yet, as we were preparing for ministry, it was always highlighted that the lower you go, like go low, lower still. And we would be given our ministry assignment, might be to pull weeds out of the garden. And they said, if you cannot learn to pull weeds out of the garden as unto the Lord, with all of your heart, without grumbling, without complaining, but with the absolute honor of being able to pull those weeds for him, then you are not fit to have a greater influence. And if you cannot do things in private with great servanthood for the need, then you are not going to be good in public. And so that was really drilled into us. And I remember, part of assignment, some of the teams would go overseas, like let's say over to Asia. I remember Vietnam, a team went over there and different places, and they spent their whole outreach, 3 months of outreach, digging out outhouses and getting rid of the stuff in there. I mean, they were literally up to their eyeballs in, the mess, the excrements of people. And yet the effect it had on the long term was amazing, because the nation opened up to the gospel because they saw the servanthood of these people as they were doing what needed to be done to help these people in the most menial, horrible task. I mean, who wants to clean out poop all day, right? But they would do it for the glory of God and for the people. And that's what gave them the open door to then preach the gospel. I remember when my husband and I were on outreach in the inner city of, my dog's out there looking at a bunny rabbit in our backyard. You get down off of there, oh, it's a bird. It's a bird on the hot tub. Hey, Tucker, come here. Come on. It's okay, the bird can be there. Okay, so my husband and I, we were in the inner city living in a very humble quarters. It was in the YMCA, actually, in the inner city, where a lot of the prostitutes, the pimps, the drug users and that would catch rooms for the night or whatever when they had money. And we all shared the same bathroom on the same floor. I mean, and it was not a nice area of town, but we lived there in order to serve the people and looked after children. We started a daycare center and were able to look after the children whose parents were out there getting their drugs and that, and speaking into their life. And it was all behind the scenes. It was difficult. The children were really messed up, so you can imagine what kind of behaviors they had. And looking after children is not my greatest strength. In fact, I'm definitely not naturally gifted in it. And so it worked a work in me to learn how to love and to learn how to minister into these children's lives when it was something I didn't even want to do, but to give my whole heart into it as a servant. And we would clean up areas like, when people would vomit in the bathroom or something, we would go and clean it up and be with them and stuff like that. Really behind the scenes stuff. But what happened is it gave us a voice in that area. And at the end of the 3 months of being down there, God opened up the doors for us to speak into many people's lives. And we had a great harvest at the end of that time, but we had to serve day and night, even going out on the streets at night and in the back rooms, ministering to people. But it was all like getting into the dirt on the ground sort of thing with the people. And it was all hidden. It was all hidden ministry. And I believe that God wants us to live out of that place. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna serve in hiddenness for a little while so that then I can be out in front of everyone. Because if there's anything in us that wants to be, ta-da, I'm out there, look at me, it's my ministry, I'm going to build my ministry, I'm going to, be known, and I'm going to, be this great man or woman of God. If we ever have that, we have to keep going to the cross and dying to that, because when we come out of hiddenness, we are to be hidden in Christ, it says in Colossians 3. So that we are serving the people well out of that hiddenness in Christ, so that they see Jesus. It's not about them needing to see us or hear our voice or see what a great ministry we have. We have to die daily. Jesus said, take up your cross every single day, and the cross is a sign of death to self. When I took the discipleship training school in YWAM back in 1980, we used to joke about it actually and call it DTS's Die to Self school, because they kept pushing that. But I didn't realize until the last number of years how valuable that was, because it was just part of us. We embraced the die to self. It wasn't about self. So in the people that I've mentored, I have been able to put that inside their heart, and it's been amazing, because Many of them have outstanding ministries, but the ones who did not die to self, the ones who just wanted to have the great ministry, and all of them have the same input from me, but the ones that went for it are standing today. And I mean, I would trust them with my life, because there's no selfish agenda. There's nothing for self. It's just this hiddenness in God, this death to self, and this willing to give God everything. But the ones that didn't ended up faltering and falling, and yet they have the same, they have the same attention, they have the same input given to them, the same encouragement to die to self and to be a servant of all, and not look to be served, but to serve. And in Philippians 2:3, Paul said, "Do nothing from selfish or empty conceit." And some other versions say selfish ambition. In other words, anything that you're going for yourself. Now, there's nothing wrong with having dreams in life, of course. But if that's what's fueling everything, is about you, me, myself, and I'm going to get to this, I'm going to be the great man of God, I'm going for this. It's like you can hear in that there has to be death. And it says, "Do nothing from selfish or empty conceit, but with humility of mind, regard one another as more important than yourselves." Now, when you do regard others as more important than yourself, it shows, because you will serve them. You will look for ways. I always tell our team that I've been mentoring as they've gone out to minister, and I oftentimes will start them when they're ground level, going out to homes, really in isolated areas where they wouldn't necessarily have the ability to have a preacher come in. I say, you go in, you raise some money to cover your own expenses. If they give you something back, that's fine. But labor for them and let love be your greatest aim, so that when you go out into that house meeting, you're going to give them the fullness of all that you have. And it's not about you, here I am to minister. It's about you laying your life down to minister. And ask them, you're not the great man or woman of God going in there and needing all the attention or needing to be treated. Ask them what you could do to serve them. If they're setting up chairs for the meeting, ask them if you can help. If they are trying to get meals ready, ask if you can help peel the potatoes or whatever it takes. And even invite them, say, can I serve you by taking you out for a meal? Never let it be that, okay, it's all about me. You always want to go out as a servant, and you always want to also give them a thank you card after, and let them know that you're grateful for the opportunity to serve them. Always come low as a servant. And so I really feel this is important, because what I see too much, actually, I wish I didn't see as much, but it's this mindset of people going out to minister that think they're the great celebrity or the great man of God, the great woman of God, thinking that they need all the attention. And I was sharing with a good friend of mine yesterday, someone that I've been partnering with and running with in the last number of months, who I absolutely love, him and his wife, who, interestingly enough, were also YWAM trained. But we were talking about this yesterday, and he was sharing about a ministry that he had worked with that actually shocked him, because it was all like they were actually trained to go in and to be the big ministry and to have everyone serve them and everyone, look after all their meals and everything. And there's nothing wrong, like if you're being hosted with having people give you meals, that's fine. But there's also needs to be an attitude of gratitude and also a willingness to serve those who are hosting you. That's just a beautiful essence of Jesus. And what it does is it breaks in you the mindset of being served. But he said, no, they were taught, you go in and have them serve you, and you're the one, and you'll be a captain of 10 or captain of hundreds. And if someone asks to carry your bags, and that's good, that means you're going up to a new notch. And I was absolutely shocked at what I heard him share. I've never actually heard anyone being mentored like that. But it's obviously out there because people act like that. And I feel it's dangerous because I think it's narcissistic. It's got narcissism involved in it. And so how we can deny a narcissistic mindset or behaviors is to move in the opposite spirit. So if in narcissism, it's all about self being exalted, then the opposite spirit would be to lower yourself. Go low as a servant. Hi, Anna Werner. I'm Millie. Hi there. Yes, and you're in agreement. And I know your hearts because you are awesome ministers who live this way. So you go lower so that you can serve, and you serve relationally and tenderly because you have the honor of serving the people of God. And these are God's valued people. And they're not there for you, you're there for them, right? And that's why we have to take up our cross and deny ourselves every day. So it's a beautiful way to live when you deny yourself and say, I'm going to give my life to serving others and humbling myself to serve others, so that all my life becomes about serving and loving and giving and denying myself in order to be a blessing to those that God has given me the honor of serving. And I love that. And I know on our team, I'm so grateful. Like it's fun to watch our team actually, because even if I invite everyone out for a dinner or something, and of course I'm intending to pay, but everyone will be arguing on who's going to pay the bill. They'll try to grab the bill, and that happens so often. And it's just because they want to serve, and they want to be a blessing, and they don't want to take anything for granted. And so I love that. Hi, Celia. Oh, I love you, Celia. Celia is the most amazing intercessor on the face of the earth, and a good friend living in Canada, has a love for Israel. But anyways, we want to carry that cross well, that dying self. And when you think of Jesus, right, he had, full authority in heaven and was saturated in heavenly glory. And it says that he laid it all down to come and become a mere man and just served and laid his whole life down for us. And he was never demanding. It was never about him. It was always laying his life down for us. And that's what I want to live like that. I want to serve like that for the rest of my days. And when we have a larger sphere of influence, of course, then we can't do the things. Everything I've done in ministry except bookkeeping, I have actually done everything myself. I've built everything. I've been on the ground. Even of late, when we set up things for conferences, I'll oftentimes go in there and help with the setup or watch over things and help with the practical things, because it's just important to do that. It's important to wear that servanthood, and it helps you. So let's attack narcissism. Let's attack it in our lives and put on a servant's robe. The Lord gave me a vision one time of the highest level mantle in the kingdom, and it's a mantle. It's a brown. It was like brown and rough and ugly when I saw it in the vision. But he said, this is the mantle of a servant who wears the cross. And when I felt it in the spirit, it was like a tangible feeling I had of this roughness, like wood, like you would feel wood. And he said, this is the garment, the mantle of a servant. And you can only live this way if you embrace the cross. And so clothe yourself in it. And I loved it. And I've loved that mantle more than anything. And it's always lower still. My good friend Heidi Baker, the first sermon I ever heard from Heidi Baker was lower still. And for 45 minutes, that's all she said was lower still, lower still. And I remember it to this day. Obviously, it's a powerful sermon. It was just 2 words, lower still. But it was amazing. Tammy, yes, I love Lorne Cunningham and the way he's modeled this. He's one of the greatest men on the face of the earth, but he paid a price for it. You know, he'll be known in history. He was so humble, you know, and to this day, he is so humble, and he cares about every individual before him. His heart is so tender, and that's what we want, you know. And yes, Debbie, not false modesty either. That's another way to get attention. No, this has to be authentic, because when you embrace the cross, yourself dies. So it's nothing to get attention. You don't live for attention. You live to die. And it's so beautiful because resurrection life can't be experienced unless you're dead. And so I always like to build out of that place of embracing the cross. So let's all embrace the cross, okay? And that's how we're going to fight narcissism. And there's so much of it in society. And let's just, when we see little children and that, let's love on them, because I feel that narcissism gets its roots in childhood. And it can be from like a real religious upbringing where you don't have the tender nurture and there's a lot of performance pressure put on you that can create narcissism. Even when people are being overly praised as a young person for their achievements, but they don't feel secure in the authentic love. Or it can be abandonment of parents emotionally or physically. And so we need to pray for the younger generation, because I have a concern about narcissistic and even sociopathic behaviors rising up that will destroy. Anytime a person is self-focused and has pride, it will destroy. And in a family, if you've got a narcissist, all the attention is about them. Everyone has to serve them. Everything's around them, but it actually destroys the family. And so we need to attack this. And the way that we attack it is by going low, embracing that cross. And just like Jesus said, be great in the kingdom by being the servant of all, by going lower than others, by serving them, by being underneath them, not above them. It's never about you. It's always about Jesus. It's always about the ones that you're serving, and that you're being totally like a laid down lover, to be able to love others and serve them well. Okay, so I hope that helps. Yeah, I really enjoyed giving that little devotion. I was just praying into it this morning and felt an excitement in my spirit about the power of servanthood and the power of humility. So it's just awesome. It's so beautiful, and it's valued very high in the eyes of God. It's so beautiful. Yes, Millie, serving is medicine. It for sure is. It's awesome. And also, I just love having relationship with you, and I enjoy connecting and just feeding you with really good spiritual food. And that I do have an online mentorship if you're interested in that. It's called the A-Team. You can go on patricia-king-mentor.com. But also, there might be a number of you that feel like partnering with our ministry, and we would so appreciate that, because the reason that we can do the things that we're doing is through partnership. We can't do it alone, and we're reaching nations. One of our goals, of course, is evangelism, and to see the nations reached for the sake of fulfilling God's heart, to touch them. And so we sow a lot into evangelism and harvest, and that is our desire. So I just would love it if we could all partner together and move things forward. And I love partnering with ministries, because each ministry has a different emphasis. So when you partner with a ministry, you actually become part of that mandate, part of the assignment, for which there's eternal reward, which blows me away. It's just like, I know that our reward is Jesus himself. I mean, what could be better than that? And yet he promises us more. Hi, Heidi, and give Katie Susan my love. I love her, and I love the way that you serve her so well. And she's another spiritual daughter that I'm so proud of, because she serves so beautifully. She's always serving people and walking in so much humility. I just love her so much. But yeah, so if you want to partner with our ministry, go to patricia-king.com, and there's a partnership button there, or a donate button, and also other things that you can browse on site. So I love you all so much, and trust that this message is helping you grow and be empowered in the Lord and positioned rightly in the Lord to know his love, and the way that he not only loves you, but loves through you to the world that you live in. God bless.